Welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from fresh perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 293, a conversation with interior designer Dan Bray. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm the host, and I'm here today on location in Orlando, Florida. I'm in the home of my dear friend Dan Bray, and he is our special guest today. So we are here with the Authentic Spiritual Journey show 293, my friends. So welcome to the show. Today is Monday, January 29th, 2024. And I can't believe we're already in the new year, and the first month of the new year is almost over. So we have had a great month, and I don't know if you remember, we started out the year saying, anything is possible for me. So friends, we welcome you into this, and as the month has gone on, we have really been about what do we want our life to be about, where are we going? Remember a couple weeks ago, I think the title of the show was The Name of My Movie, right? Or the name of your movie. And we were saying, if I had a movie about my life, what would it be called? And who would play me? And that's kind of a fun idea. And then this last week was about restoration. And interestingly, we talked about restoration in relation to the home, and then we went even deeper and talked about it in our soul. But our guest today, Mr. Dan Bray, is here. And he's not only a friend, he's a colleague, and he's a very talented designer and very well known as well, not only in the Orlando area, but in the country at large, and has some amazing projects coming up. So our special guest today, Mr. Dan Bray. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to have you here, Cynthia Alice.
This is great. This is great. And I'm honored to be in your home. It is beautiful.
I love having you here whenever we get the opportunity to get together.
Yeah. And as I was saying earlier, I got so taken in by all the art, I forgot to start the show. It was, there's so much beauty in this home, and the flow and the energy, all the original art, and it's inspiring to be around this much original art and this much art that's from Central Florida as well.
Yes. So and thank you for pointing out the Central Florida art aspect of it, because my partner Sean and I have, lived in different homes for over 33 years, mostly in the downtown Orlando area. And we've come to really love how Central Florida landscape artists and landscape artists around the state even come to Central Florida, like the Florida Highwaymen, or like Maury Hurt or Emmett Fritz, the artists who love to find everything from lakes to backwaters, rivers around Central Florida, and I love how it comes together.
I do too. Well, I love all the combination of what you would consider fine art with folk art as well. And really that describes your path a little bit, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, because you're not from Orlando, and sometimes I take for granted that sometimes our listeners know the people I'm interviewing, and if they may not. I don't know if somebody might assume or not your humble beginnings because of your success in business. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about where you're from and what your beginnings were like?
Well, I grew up in Miami between Homestead and Coral Gables, but I was actually born in Memphis. So I'm a real Tennessean. My family on my father and my mother's sides are all from basically Tennessee and Mississippi.
Right.
And
South, baby.
South, right on, because you're from Georgia.
Right.
The only problem is I'm an Alabama Crimson Tide fan.
I know, right? We had to talk about football. I knew we would.
But I love where I come from, because no matter what I've learned in life and what experiences I've had, I always think that everything I do is with heart and passion.
Yes.
Okay. I feel very fortunate that I had the opportunity to go to interior design school first in Chicago and then New York, and have an extraordinary life in that aspect. But to come back here to Central Florida was where I needed to be. However, I still have this country side of me that I love. And Sean, he's from Kentucky.
Exactly. So you both have, I don't know, I mean, if humble roots is the right word, but you come from real people who had struggle, who, in other words, your path was not laid before you. You weren't what we call like a silver spoon baby. You've heard that phrase.
Yeah.
You had to make your own way. And the more I grow on my journey, I've really seen how sometimes humble beginnings is a great way to start, because you don't take things for granted. You often have gratitude as a regular part of your journey. You know what it's like not to have, and you know what it's like to have.
Absolutely.
And you have not forgotten your beginnings, and just one of the things I've noticed about how you relate in general is you're always trying to bring people along with you,
Yes. And, I remember in that humble beginning part of my life, I didn't like it. I mean, I was embarrassed. I at times was ashamed.
Sure.
Yet there was still something with the connection of people, how people in that part of my life took everything that they had and made their day as best as they could.
Yes.
And yeah, there's a lot of pain in that, but when you can find the beauty in the simplest things, then as my life has evolved, not always as gracefully as I wanted to, it has also been much easier for me to find the beauty in
exactly. Well, there was a picture, we've shared personally many times, and I don't know if it was a great aunt or a grandmother, but I remember, because I was asking you about your beginnings simply because I find it interesting, and we had felt a connection with that. And you showed me an old family photo where, because I was asking about your design career, like how, from where you're born, what led you to design, and you showed me this picture. You know the one I'm talking about. Yeah. And there's a single picture on the wall, right? It's a black and white photo. So tell us about that photo.
You remember that? That means a lot that you do. That was my Aunt Retha Ann.
Yes.
Sitting on a sofa, holding my my half sister Jody, and then her husband Ozit. So I had Uncle Ozit, Aunt Retha Ann,
love it,
and Jody. This house had a dirt floor. And this was in Paris, Tennessee, which is near the Kentucky-Tennessee border, Lake Kentucky, home of the world's largest catfish fry. But what struck me about this photo of her ever so proudly sitting there with her granddaughter was this sense of composition. I mean, there was the sofa, there was a wall telephone and a wall calendar, probably an almanac calendar. Perfectly arranged on the wall.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of this doorway that was in between the sofa, and then there was this chair with a broom. And everything was in place.
Yes.
That was remarkable to me, because these were people that clearly had a sense of self-respect, dignity, appreciation of their home. And that really impacted how I see anyone's home. And when I go into someone's home, for example, today, and I see that things are kind of scattered around, I immediately connect with a part of my life when I might have been like that.
Yes.
And I want to not so much go aesthetic, but go underneath that and say, what is this really about? Not trying to make it look picture perfect.
Right. There's there's a strong connection that you seem to have, and I don't really know how to describe it, but you're always looking for what is under, like if you're looking at a home, or like, for instance, you've been in my home, there was something to say about the art on my walls, but you see what's behind that in terms of motivation for hanging it, for what that might mean about life experience. And I think that's one of the things that sets you apart from most quote unquote designers, is that the heart and the soul that's in there with your connection with your clients. Because I've seen you work with a variety of clients, some quite wealthy, some maybe not as wealthy, that are, looking to you for guidance and support. And it's way deeper than, let's make this look like a catalog. It's not about that at all.
Absolutely. When I go into people's homes, first of all, there's always this experience that I try to, let's get this out of the way, and it's this. People that are intimidated because you're a designer coming over.
Oh, right. Oh, my God, a designer's coming over.
Right. Ready to pick it apart.
Right.
Or is this good enough? And that to me is, for me, so sad, because first of all, I know what that feels like. I've been there many times myself before I ever became a designer.
Right.
But what it also says is that this is someone that's not seeing the beauty for what their place is really about.
Right.
And then that's when I realized, you know what, that's why I'm there. I'm there to go in and acknowledge what I truly see as beautiful, that is expressive to them, and bring that to surface.
Yeah.
And I know I've done that with you, because
yes,
you have a strong musical background. You have antique family heirloom instruments on your wall that you play.
Right.
Yeah, and then when you think about the pieces of furniture you've had and how you put together, you have a very eclectic style. But when you come into your place, it is so evocative of other places that have been in your life, your family's.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's the kind of place where you don't want to leave.
Oh, that is so sweet. Yes. Well, we have that connection for sure. And that's how I feel when I'm here. I feel like I'm home. I feel like I'm at my brother's house.
Yeah.
I'm like, so listeners, now you know, Dan Bray is my adopted brother. He's my brother from another mother, as they say. Well, the thing too, and that happened to me here today. I just want to mention, I was in one of the rooms, and it just, the overwhelming feeling of, one, the incredible craftsmanship that I was surrounded by, that desk, that
Bird's eye maple.
Yeah, bird's eye maple. I said, is this maple? That I was just, and the elegance of the design, I just found myself wanting to be creative there, but also relaxed. Like, there's something about being around something that is so thoughtfully designed and made, the energy, which I'm quite sensitive to.
Yeah.
It just felt so inviting. I just wanted to be with it.
And what experience you had in my home, that's how I got to where I am today with my home, is being in other people's homes.
Right.
They had done things that were beautiful and beautifully expressive and authentic. And that is something I have my entire life observed when I go into people's homes, is there's something about this in their home that I absolutely love, and I would like to implement that in my home.
Yes.
So what you're seeing here is really a tapestry of all of the homes, the places I've been to that I've been inspired by.
Well, and isn't it an honor when someone invites you to their home? To me, that's an honor, and that people have trusted you at that level. And I think you've really honored that trust by that, because you are super respectful. You are. I'm laughing now because I remember when you came in and you said, "Now, what were you thinking with this color?" And I laughed because I said, "Well, that's a great question." And I said, "So tell me about color." And the next hour, you were talking to me about your experience learning about color, sitting in the back of the room. I remember you saying, because I think you had gone from one school to another, right?
Yes.
When you went to New York, I can't remember that exact story.
So I first went to design school at Harrington Institute.
Yeah, right.
Interior design in Chicago.
Oh, right.
And
That's what it was.
It was a great experience because it got me out of my Florida mindset of how design and decoration should look like, right?
Yeah.
No corn plants in corners anymore.
Right.
You have to make something of every square inch of a space. But when I was at Harrington, I'm the one student in this class of 12 or 13 people. I have no drawing background, no sketching, no painting. And there I am learning how to mix colors. And it was a disaster for me. It was humiliating. But then when I look back on it, I laugh because she said to me in front of the whole class, she says, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Orlando." She goes, "Oh, Mickey Mouse. Okay. Well, you're going to learn a thing or two about color in this class."
So, Dan, we were talking earlier about, you going into homes, and I loved the first time you were in my home. I think it was the first time, and you walked into one of the rooms and you said, "Now, what were you thinking of when you chose this color?" And I remember laughing because the energy behind it was so sweet and innocent. It was almost naive the way you asked that. And I could tell you were genuinely curious. And this is very different from what I would imagine a quote unquote designer to do. So talk about that a little bit.
So that color was in your kitchen. Mm-hmm. It was and is
right.
This beautiful, like sunny yellow. Mm-hmm. And when I saw it, I found it to be evocative. I thought, could this be from a home of a relative when you were growing up that made? Mm-hmm. Could it be that this is what makes you feel the good energy in the morning when you're making your cup of coffee?
Right.
That color definitely has emotion to it.
And
energy.
And vibrancy,
Vibrancy, yes. And I wanted to connect with that. And you were saying that it was a color that you loved because it was, I think it made you happy or something?
Yeah, I said it makes me happy. And it is very similar to a color from growing up that I loved in one of the rooms. So it is, in fact, a connection to that.
So taking that experience with you, so I put it back, I put it in the back of my mind. I go, okay, I'm going to remember that when I'm working with other people, because sometimes when people are at a loss for ideas, and we're going back to, well, what makes you feel good about being in a space that you remember from somewhere else? So those moments when I go into your house or somebody else's, it adds up, and it makes a huge difference for me in how I'm able to help other people.
Well, in it, and I said this earlier, but I wanted to go back to it too, about the soul that comes through. I mean, I know you've done a lot of work on yourself as a human being, because we all come from situations where there's trauma and we need healing. And I tend not to focus so much on the word trauma, but the fact that we're all able to heal.
Right.
And I think the work that you do with people, the way you do it, I will say, is healing. And I know that also comes out of your own journey, right? Yes. Because I know you're not just like, well, okay, I'm all good. There's nothing more to work on. You're always thinking about, how can I be more present? How can I be more mindful? You've taken my courses, you've taken mindfulness courses, you're always seeking to be more self-aware. And I think that informs all of your life, not just your personal life, but your work and everything else. So
I really appreciate you seeing that, because I always go into somebody's home or a commercial setting to learn, not to just enlighten and help other people, but to take away something for myself. And when you go to design school and then you work professionally, you know that there's what we call the elements and principles of design. Yeah. Unity, color, emphasis, scale, pattern, for example. There's a framework within that you work within to address issues and turn them into solutions. That will always be a part of my work, but the soul behind my work is from my life experiences.
Yeah.
That's where,
Yeah.
I say to people a lot, there's a lot of talented people out there, people that aren't even educated in design or professionally trained. And it's always mind-blowing to me, the level of talent that I see and I take away from. And then there's also the idea that, well, where is that sense of spirit in a space?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you create a sense of feeling, not just aesthetically? And that takes life to make happen.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Well, and it's reminding me too of how, we've talked on numerous occasions about working with so many people on a project. When you're an interior designer, I don't know if people have any idea the number of people you work with, from the architect to the contractors to everybody. And the thing that, or you do, I don't know if other designers do, but I know you do, and another designer I know has shared with me, it's a really active position if you're doing it well and with a lot of soul.
Yeah.
But the your collaborative style is also very unusual, and I also think comes from your level of self-awareness, because you know that it doesn't have to be, well, I'm imposing my ideas onto your space or even onto the people building. Right? The way you enroll, engage, and collaborate with, say, the contractor. It might make other people nervous for you to say to the contractor, well, what do you think? And I know that's a part of your style.
Yes. I learned a long time ago that when you are working with other people, you're collaborating, recognizing that each person has a special gift, background, talent to offer is key. Well, then what would my role with all that be? My role is to make sure it all comes together correctly.
Yes.
Looking to the painter, the carpenter, the electrician.
Yeah.
I don't know it all the time. Much of the time, I'm always asking other people, what do you think for this application?
Yes.
Based on your experience. What I've also found that when that happens is they have a sense of personal value.
Yeah, ownership. Yes.
And they care more. Usually they want to do more, and they feel included. And when things don't go right, which happens all the time.
Of course, that's normal on any kind of job.
It is.
Yeah.
Those people, though, you can pretty much count on the fact that they were doing the best that they could. Everything we do is new and different. It's not formulaic.
Right.
So sometimes you're going to have these breakdowns in a project.
Yeah.
And when you have people already on board with you because they trust and respect you,
there you go.
You get through those breakdowns. Those breakthroughs become very powerful, and they often move the project forward in a way that none of us had imagined. And then we're all happy, including the client, like, wow, I'm glad that happened. And that has happened a lot with my work.
Oh, yes.
I have a concept with the client. There's an intent that we carry out. There's also integrity. We do what we say we're going to do. But even with all that, we have these other factors that come into play with the project. And that's where you just kind of got to be willing to, without compromise to those things I just said, you got to move forward and go, okay, there's something greater happening here that we just got to trust and go with, and we'll get back on track. And when we do, it's better than what we ever imagined. That happens all the time with me.
Yes. I imagine. Well, and as you were talking, I was thinking our listeners are going to say, imagine somebody would feel good if they were valued, enrolled, listened to, their perspective was honored. It does build trust. And so much of what we do on the show is, we often say we're here to help you grow, prosper, and evolve. If you only did the things we're talking about, you're relating it to work, but I know you do this personally too. I mean, I'll tell a story about that in a minute, but what I started to say is if you listen to, valued, enrolled, collaborated with all the people in your life right now, just that on any level, all of those relationships would instantly get better. Because when people feel heard and valued and supported, it's really, those are keys to any healthy relationship.
And I think that is more important to me in my everyday life than my actual work.
Yeah.
Is that I'm connecting and relating with people that they feel valued and they value me, and together, whatever experience we have is special, extraordinary, positive.
Yes, yes. What I started to say is, not too long ago, we went to dinner. It was you and Sean and myself. And, we walked at the restaurant. And it's funny because stuff like this happens to me a lot, but I don't see it happen to other people a lot. So it was really fun to be on the receiving end of watching it happen. And, everybody hugs you and says, I'm glad they're to see you. And, it was like, to the employees there, you were one of the most important people in their life at that moment. That was obvious that they felt valued and seen and loved. And, friends, we were at the local Red Lobster, but it was just super sweet. That you could tell you had taken time to establish real relationship, not just bring us our food, we're done, thank you.
Well, I think where that comes from is my mother, back in the day, was a waitress at Howard Johnson's and IHOP.
Yep.
I was illegally a busboy and dishwasher when I was like 12 years old at the IHOP that she
I
worked
love
at.
it. Yeah.
And then I worked at Wendy's and Red Lobster. And so I was absolutely that person.
Yeah.
I knew what it felt like.
And to not be seen.
And to not be seen.
Yeah.
But also when you're appreciated, you just want to do better.
You want to do better, yeah. Yeah, well, one of the key teachings that I have been taking out now into more of the business world is about shifting perspective. And I'll tell you, perspective is everything. I heard this old story and about a guy who was laying bricks. There's two guys, they're laying bricks. And somebody comes up and says, what you doing? And one of the guys says, laying bricks, And he goes down the building a little bit and says to another guy, so what are you doing? He says, oh, I'm building a cathedral. Which one is empowered? Which one has a perspective? One, doing the job, showing up, laying the bricks. Nothing wrong with that. But the other one saw the big picture. Oh, I'm building a cathedral. In other words, my work has value to the greater whole.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? My work is a part of creating something bigger than me. So, and I think that's what the feeling you give people.
Wow. So, and when you were saying that, I was thinking about the distinction between honest passion and intent compared to ego.
Yes.
And when my ego has been involved, that's when I'm not seeing that there's a greater good here that I want to be accountable to. This is the ego is saying it's feeding whatever insecurities in the moment that I'm looking for. But when I put my ego aside and look at the greater good that I'm a part of, my work is infinite.
Yes, I agree. Well, and speaking of that, I don't want to forget to mention, because I know you on so many levels. I know you personally, I know you professionally, and there's a lot happening for you professionally. And I do think it really stems from your all the things we've talked about, your gift of communication, your gift of connection, your ability to listen and to then integrate what you hear into design. But I mean, I think there's nothing but going up for you, and also this, new personal work you've been doing, this level of awareness, the level of integrity, just continues to rise. And feel free to share anything with our listeners that you're interested in sharing, because by the time this airs, a lot of this is going to be in full force, I think.
Well, I look at the years I've been doing this, probably. At least 25 years.
Yeah.
And instead of looking at my work experience as like one entity that, okay, I've done this and, I made good money doing it. I've gotten things published. I love, the connection to the community. What I look at over those 25 plus years is, how has this changed and evolved me?
Yes.
And helping the greater good for the kind of work that I do be better for everybody. And today, I feel that I'm ready to reach massive amounts of people at once. And obviously, I'm thinking of something to do with TV. However, I also want to be careful how I approach that. I don't want it to be just like home improvement, renovation.
Right.
Flip, take something and flip it, make it.
Flip. Yeah.
Right. I want this to be transformative for viewers when they see what we're doing, perhaps in real time, even.
Yeah.
So that they can see that this is not taped or rehearsed. This is life happening right here in front of the camera, and this is how we're solving a problem. And sometimes it could be someone that we're working with who we think that we're talking about an aesthetic solution, but then we're really finding ourselves talking about some very personal things.
Oh, yes.
That's holding them back from moving forward. And to have that sensitivity, that self-awareness, where I can then appreciate what someone's going through in that moment and help them without making them feel uncomfortable in a way that might be embarrassing, but uncomfortable in a way where, are you willing to go here first?
Yes.
We do this.
Yeah.
Can you trust me where this is going? That to me is powerful. And that's the next level that I see moving towards, is just reaching lots of people with the years of experience I've had and creating space spiritually.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, our homes are the most direct reflection of our consciousness, because it's where and how we live. So if our home is large, that might mean something about the kind of activities we like to do in the home. Or if it's very small, it might mean something else. The items we have, if they're antique, that could mean something. If they're very, say, durable, that could mean something else. But the strong spiritual and personal connection that happens between you and your, I hate to even call them clients, but your clients, does become a very intimate connection because of the level that they're able to trust. And your ability to listen and then guide them through, is really special, because you're not imposing your view. You're trying to help them come to, the realization on their own. So you're empowering that and then helping to guide the right way, I feel.
I'm trying to help them see something about themselves.
Right.
They probably either put away on the back burner or just maybe didn't realize. So, for example, I've worked with clients where when we start off, they'll say, okay, what are we going to do? I love what you did for this person.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes, I bet.
And I'll say, we can do a little bit of that, but this is really your space.
So this is what do you, right?
Yes, this is about you expressing your space, and I'm here to help you do that. Well, I don't have anything. Okay. Growing up, did you play any instruments? Were you in sports? Yeah, I was. I played the saxophone for a little while. When? In a band, like a high school, junior high school. Do you have any music sheets of that laying around? Well, I think I do. It's at my mom's and dad's house. Do you think we could get a hold of those and maybe look at that? Perhaps that's something we can use as artwork in your home study or library. Because that's an absolute personal value. Yeah, that could be cool. And you said you played sports? Yeah, what'd you do? Because I played football. Were you any good at it? Well, I got some.
Like a letter.
Or trophies. Well, while I'm not about trying to trophy up someone's home, because things like that could be challenging, there's still something there when you put this part of their life with that part, with where they are today. It could be they like to travel now. That's why their home doesn't have anything, because they choose to spend their time and energy and their money to travel.
Exactly.
Well, I want to know where you traveled.
Exactly.
Tell me where you've been and what that was like for you. Let's see some pictures of who you were with, if you would like, or why did you go to Jerusalem, for example, as opposed to Brazil.
Yeah, right. Very different experience. Yeah.
So when you put those experiences together, no two are the same.
Yeah, I bet.
Everybody is different.
And that's why you can't come in and say, let's do this, what we did at the last house, because this is not the last house. Even if the physical looks similar, it's not.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, of course, if someone really liked a detail that we did, as long as I feel that the majority of what we're doing is still them, I'm good, because I want people to have what they want.
Of course. Well, and I know your work, and I wanted to end with this. We've talked a lot about work, but you and I are very similar in that our life is our work. It's not, I think I could talk to you at 7 in the morning or 11 at night, and we'd be having the same conversations. Yeah. It's not like you do a job that you hate so that you can go out and party. Your life is your work. You're always in design mode. Just like I'm always in soul mode, It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Even if we don't feel like it, we find ourselves there.
There, exactly. Even at a football game or something, I might be thinking about, oh, that poor guy down there. Oh, he missed a pass. I'm going to send him some energy. But yes. And I was just thinking, spiritually now, it seems like recently you've been working a lot on mindfulness and staying present. So tell me a little bit about your journey, what you're working with now. I think our listeners might like to hear that.
So how I strive to work today is, first of all, unlike ever before, I think about integrity with the space. I want space for anyone to really function for them as they really are. So, for example, if someone were to say, what's your ideal aesthetic? Well, my ideal aesthetic might be minimalism, because I love the intellectualism behind that aesthetic. It's all
in the flow,
the flow.
Amazing.
And it's about all the choices that you could put into that composition that you choose not to.
Yeah.
But realistically, that's not my life. My life is a collective of experiences and places I've traveled with Sean and the different homes we've had. Now, going back to the integrity of a space, I also strive to start off with an intent. So I will do a little bit of mindfulness practice, even when I'm stressed. If I know I'm going to someone's home or to a business site, my intent is to help be part of a greater energy. So that means I got to first check in with myself. I got to clear whatever stuff I've been going on in my day. And sometimes I don't like it. I don't feel like it, but I know if I do it, it's going to be better for me.
Yes.
Therefore better for the people. The other thing is, I have this crystal. It's a labradorite.
Oh yeah, I know that one's special to you.
The metaphysical properties are intuition and healing. I can't think of two more important things to strive for in life. And when I bring this little guy into meetings, it's just interesting how the energy changes to something that's positive for everybody. Well, whether someone else sees this as, well, was it really your rock or not, that's okay.
It doesn't matter.
But for me,
for you, it is.
It's everything I got that I want to bring in to make a positive impact for everyone that's involved. So that would be my way of how I try to bring the spiritual aspect into my work.
Beautiful. And well said, Dan. And I think all of us could learn from your practice and from your intentionality and the integrity. This is my highest value. A statement I say every day is, I ignite integrity, authenticity, and magnificence. Wow. That's my life's vision. To ignite or inspire integrity, authenticity, and magnificence. I go back and forth.
Actually, I do remember hearing you say that before in a sermon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a real guiding force. Without our integrity, what do we have? And so anyway, I honor that in you and in our listeners. I mean, friends, I thank you for joining us and for your support, because I know you're out there. You know, we have such a variety of listeners. Your mechanics, your lawyers, your doctors, your nurses, your legal assistants, you know, your maybe you are a barber, or you work with people in the public. But friends, you are making a difference simply by your intention, by showing up in integrity, by seeking to follow your inner guidance. And this is what I know you're doing. So I honor you. I thank you for listening. And as always, we're grateful to have you along the journey. Again, Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, friends. I look forward to talking with you next week, and blessings on the journey.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2024, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The Soulworks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. Soulworks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience, with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the Soulworks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.